and this is episode 38 of the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. And my next guest is Rob Moore, where we're going to talk about how to shift your mindset for success. Welcome to the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Kris Gilbertson, and I'm an author, speaker, and a coach to teaching you how to launch your own successful podcast. And the reason I designed this show is to bring you the top lifestyle entrepreneur experts from all over the world for them to share their key strategies that they've used to launch their own businesses and allow them to live life on their own terms. So tune in every Friday for new episodes and come on over and join the Lifestyle Entrepreneur community at www.lifestyleacademy.com. There you're going to receive VIP training from specific guests from the podcast, along with being able to watch all of the interviews. And I'll also be making it really easy for you to implement these strategies that you're hearing by sending you what I like to call the lifestyle cliff notes on the best of the best lessons learned on the podcast. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started with the show, I just want to thank everyone who is subscribing and leaving awesome reviews in iTunes. I'm so excited that people are enjoying these interviews, and I'm excited to announce First Fridays. So what I'm going to be doing the first Friday of every month, we're going to have a raffle for those of you that have subscribed to the podcast and then also left a review, and it'll be a raffle for $25 gift cards from iTunes, Amazon, eBay, all over the place. So all you simply need to do is just subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and then leave us a review, and your name will go in a hat, and we'll announce that the first Friday of every month. And this week's loyal listener shout out goes over to our friends in the UK. This one's from Karen FD, and she says, educational, inspiring, and entertaining. I came across this podcast show for the first time less than 2 weeks ago, and since discovering the show, I've listened almost every day in my workshop as I create my jewelry. I've replayed some podcasts several times and always have a notebook to hand to jot down the first-class tips shared by the experts Kris has on her show. Essential listening for the entrepreneur. Well, Karen, thank you so much. I may have to steal your little tagline there at the end. I love that. And it's so great to hear where everybody listens to the podcast. I often listen to podcasts when I'm doing dishes or just random tasks. So I love that you're listening while you're doing jewelry and subconsciously soaking in all this amazing information, but at the same time taking great notes to implement into your business. So really excited for today's show. Rob shares a ton of phenomenal information to really help you shift your mindset to transition you into success for your business. So let's get going. Well, welcome back. This is Kris, and you are listening to the Kris Gilbertson Show, where we focus on the secrets of the extraordinarily successful. And through interviews and million and expert tips, we help you as an entrepreneur explode your business. And I am so excited for our call today. Today, I'm bringing on the call Mr. Rob Moore, and he is known as America's leading expert on performance leadership. He's helped people show up, step out, and shine so they can perform better, become better leaders, and ultimately become top performers who shine. He's a published author of 3 books, and he's better known for being a speaker in the corporate world and also in the youth market. And he's a coach and has a ton of energy to ignite you into action today. So I'm so excited. Rob, I want to welcome you to the call. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderfully fantastic, Kris. I'm excited about the call.
Excellent. Well, I'm so excited to have you. You have such amazing energy. And some of your speaking opportunities that I've seen, I'm so excited to bring you on the call here. So tell us, why speaking, Rob? What inspired you to get into that career path?
Well, it was actually a funny story. I actually started out in a situation where my life really wasn't too good out of high school, and I really didn't have any purpose or direction. And I had this pivotal conversation with my mom, and the light bulb went off. And I literally changed my life, like literally overnight. I ended up going from being a part-time seafood clerk to becoming a store manager running one of the top 5 stores in the entire chain out of approximately 120 stores, developing a reputation of taking low-performing stores to high-performing stores. And I just really changed my life like very quickly because I just got so focused. And once I hit that level, I started to see so many other people that were coming behind me who were struggling to get where they wanted to go. And since I had broken through, I wanted to give back, and I wanted to help as many people as possible break through just like me. So I've been speaking ever since.
That's outstanding. So, what was the breakthrough moment? I mean, what? Because we hear that a lot, especially when you go to a lot of events and things. A lot of speakers will say there was a defining moment, something that really shifted their behavior. And what was that for you?
Oh, that's a great question, because that shift happened like literally a month after I graduated from high school. Because for some strange reason in my whole entire life up until that point, I really believed that the deck was already stacked. And I also believed that I had absolutely no control over my life. I thought that there was nothing that I can do about how things were going. So the way I was treated in school, the way I was picked on, the way people interacted with me, I thought that's who I was. But when I had this conversation with my mom, she was just telling me like, hey, if you want to go to college, just go. If you want to do this with your life, just do it. And that message came to me as if I did have some kind of power. I was actually 100% responsible for my life. I actually had the power to make the shift. And when I learned that, I took massive action and changed everything literally overnight. So the breakthrough was knowing that I had power, knowing that I was in control of my life instead of circumstances, environment, or other people.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the two things I hear right there, I mean, immediately, we are not our past. Whatever's happened to us in our past and however we were treated or even the thought processes, because, most people are either in the past or the future. And, that doesn't define us, who we are. It's the present and what you do now, taking massive action. I love that. I think that's so outstanding. So now you talk a lot about show up, step out, and shine. So what does that actually mean for you and for your clients?
Well, show up, step out, and shine is my personal life story of how did I go from being a person graduating from high school with absolutely no purpose, no direction, to getting a part-time job as a seafood clerk, and then taking that all the way to becoming one of the top store managers in one of the top supermarket chains in the entire world. So show up, step out, and shine is my story. And what does show up mean? Show up means, step one, you got to be present. You got to get present. You got to get focused on what you want in order to get started. You got to get clear. You got to get focused. Step two, step out, you got to be unique, especially in today's economy. If you want to get where you want to go, if you want to make some big things happen in your life, if you want to make some major changes in your life, you got to step out from the crowd. You got to step out from common thinking and be unique. Become the person that stands out from the rest of everybody else. And once you do that, all that's left to do is to shine, which means to just be your best. Be the best that you can possibly be in your life. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. There's no competition. You just want to focus on being the best that you can possibly be as a person and the best that you can possibly do on every task that you touch. And that's what show up, step out, and shine means. But what does it mean to my clients? It's really a universal system that anybody can tap into to create better performance, better leadership in any area of your life.
Wow, that's outstanding. I love it. Get clear. That should be for everything. First step of the process. Yeah, and be unique. I think that's so crucial. And I think just from my perspective of listening with that, step out from common thinking, just get going, get moving forward and owning your uniqueness of who you are. I think that's so brilliant. And more people need to be able to hear that and recognize that, because I see that a lot in the marketplace. I'm sure you've seen this too, where people are just holding themselves back because they're not ready yet. They're getting ready to get ready, and they're not moving forward. And it's probably, a lack of all three of these things, being clear, being unique, and being willing to move forward, and then just allowing, the universe to bring to you from your magnificence. So I think I love it. I like it simple, and that's outstanding. So for you with this process, getting clear, I think that's one of the biggest struggles most entrepreneurs have. I was reading an article by Darren Hardy this morning, and he said the biggest distraction is distraction itself for entrepreneurs. It's not your competition. And I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. So with this type of formula, what were you always clear? Or, what are the biggest distractions you've had to overcome in your professional career?
Oh my gosh. I don't think we have 10 years to explain all that, Kris. But what's most important, I'll give you two perspectives. I'll give you the perspective from when I first started with my major shift, and then I'll give you probably one of my biggest breakthroughs. So the tip that I want to make sure everybody understands is, no matter where your mindset is as far as clarity and knowing what you want to do, bottom line, you got to get started. You got to get started. When I had that conversation with my mom and I figured out that I had power to change my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do. But I just started taking action. I just started to do stuff. I just started to perform at my best every day. I started to change my attitude, get positive. And as you start to show up in your life, things are going to happen. Things are going to start to happen to help you get better. And things are going to happen to help you get clear on what you want to do. And it didn't take too long for me because I had such a burning desire for being the best person that I could be. I eventually one day discovered that I saw all these people at work one day, like a whole bunch of people that moved up in the company. And I looked at these people one by one, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. If these people can do it, I know I can do it, because I knew that I was a much better worker than them because of my mindset and my passion, my energy, and my drive. So I saw that as an opportunity to change my life. And I would have never seen that opportunity if I didn't just get started and just go. So I started off with becoming an assistant seafood manager. And I wanted to get that job. And I did the best job that I possibly can do. I started self-study. I was taking policy and procedure manuals home and reading those things completely all the way through. I started studying managers that were really good at what they did. I would just watch them while I worked, and then I would learn, and I would model what they do. I would ask questions. I would make sure that nobody was outperforming me on any of my tasks or responsibilities. And before you know it, I got my first opportunity to become an assistant seafood manager, and the rest was history. So that was the first perspective. As far as clarity, on my second perspective, really was a shift of doing what I do today. When I started to get into management and I started to do extremely well and I started to really become somebody that got results on a consistent basis, somebody to really look at inside this company, I never had any dreams, any aspirations at all of ever becoming a speaker or helping other people. It's just that I just kept going and I kept doing the best that I could do. And I just saw all these people being drawn to me, praising me for what I do. Like, Rob, how is it that you were able to do what you did in such a short period of time? And all of these things happening, the light bulb went off. And I was like, you know what, Rob, you need to help people. Period. Because what you're doing is extremely different from anybody else in the entire company, anybody else you've really seen in the entire world. There's something special about what you have. God gave you talents and gifts, and you need to use them. And I got clear after that. And that's why I got into speaking. So you just got to start.
I think there is,
and then things will happen.
yeah, it's so simple, but it is so true. And I mean, I can attest to this for too many years starting stuff but not letting it fall through because I didn't know everything. I didn't have it all figured out. And just like what you said, it's when we look back, it's hindsight's 2020. You can connect the dots, but going forward you can't. You just have to step into action. And somebody said that the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I just was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." And that's exactly what you just talked about. Just you didn't know what your plan was. You had no idea where it was going to take you, but it brought you into your clarity of who you really are and what your real talents are. So I think that's phenomenal. So what are some of your tips for, I almost want to backtrack just for a second, kind of on the mindset shift, because mindset is so crucial, not just being an entrepreneur, but for everything in our life, whether we want to excel at for, relationships, health, fitness, work, whatever it is. So what are some tips that you can share to help people shift that mindset to be more positive?
Oh my gosh. I tell you, mindset, in my personal opinion, is probably one of the most underutilized powers that each individual has in their life. They just don't understand how important it is. And I didn't understand it neither, because before I broke through, my mindset was horrible. My mindset was controlled by my environment. It was controlled by other people. I never had any confidence in myself. So at the end of the day, there's quite a few tips that I want to give people. Probably the first tip is you got to feel good. You got to feel good about yourself. You got to feel good every day. Because I have learned from personal experience, whenever you're not feeling good, that means you're not thinking good. And if you're not thinking good, you're attracting bad things into your life, into your experience, and you're blocking yourself. So that's probably one of the biggest tips that I want to give you. A second tip that I'll give you, and I don't know if you want to go any further than this, I'll let you know after I say this, is to come up with some kind of daily ritual every single day that you're going to do to help control your mindset. And there are countless tips that I can give you, but I will give you this. My daily ritual that I do every day to control my mindset takes me 2 hours a day. That's how serious I am about my mindset. That's how important I understand that my mindset is. I spend 2 hours a day working on mindset. All right, let's get into the details. What do you do, Rob? Well, 1, I read every day. 2, I listen to audios, positive motivational messages, information that is going to build me up. I exercise every single day. I say incantations, which are phrases describing what I want to happen in my life. I do visualizations where I visualize, I do little movies in my head of what I want to happen in my life. I picture myself actually doing things that I want to do in my life in the future. And the list goes on, but it takes me about 2 hours a day to do that. That's not really necessary. It's not necessary. But I recommend that you do at least 15 minutes. But if you're as serious about changing your life, especially in 2013, you want to get some kind of daily ritual together to help build and control your mindset.
Oh, I love daily rituals. So I think with what you're just talking about, it's amazing. I mean, everything you're doing it on all levels. You're doing it, for audio, for visual, for kinetics. Like you're activating the cellular level of your body, and that's what changes. That's what changes your mindset. So I think that's so crucial. So how can people do that though throughout their day? Because I don't think, do you get up and the first 2 hours is spent, or do you do this throughout your whole day?
It's a combination of the two. Like I'll get up and I'll get up and I'll do about an hour and a half. And then before I go to bed, I'll do 30 minutes. But yeah, I do stuff throughout the day too. Throughout the day, I'm always focusing on how do I feel. That's the number one thing that I focus on. How do I feel? I also think about my goals, my dreams, as much as I possibly can. I'm always thinking about that stuff as much as I possibly can. And whenever I get a moment where I'm not feeling so good, and this really takes a lot of practice and a lot of dedication, I'll be totally honest with you. I go straight into either an incantation, which you can't do all the time. You can't do incantations all the time, especially if you're out in public, because people might think you're crazy. But if I'm in public, I'll go straight into affirmations. I'll go into affirmations. I'll go into thinking about the positives. It's not easy to do, but it's discipline.
Well, it's right then at that moment when that happens, when that negative thought happens or the circumstances that triggers it is when you have to take care of it, because otherwise it'll just fester and continue. Because, I mean, our mind, how many thoughts do we have on a daily basis? It's like over 80,000. I mean, and most of them are the same thoughts. So yeah, this is so important. So I'd love for you just to, because this is so important. So when you wake up, do you do like a visualization and then you do, your incantations and affirmations and then go work out, or is it kind of like all streamlined together? Like, what's your process?
I don't even know if I want to give that away because it's kind of complicated. But, I'll go through it. I'll go through it a little bit. If anybody's got any questions, they can email me or find me on Facebook or go to my website or something like that. But for example, I have a book set up for all of this to hold myself accountable. I have a book. I call it my daily ritual book, and all it is a little binder, and in the front of it, it's got all my goals, and inside of it, it's got the checklist in there, and then it has all kinds of pictures of people that inspire me, places I want to go, pictures of things that I want to have in my life, places, all kinds of things like that, kind of like a dream board, but it's in a binder. And then I have a whole bunch of blank sheets of paper in there, because I have blank paper in there because I write my goals out every single day. Because like you were saying earlier, I'm trying to activate as many parts of my body as possible. So I'm writing my goals, I'm saying my goals, I'm listening. So I have this little book. It's really cool. What else do I have in here? I think that's all the important stuff that I have in there. Yeah, I got all my goals in there. So here's my ritual. So I'll get up. As soon as I wake up, I'll already have audio going in my head. So what I listen to is, like, I call it a success audio. And all it really is, and I don't think anybody's ever done this before, I just took a whole bunch of clips, all kinds of audio clips that inspire me. Like when I hear, like, Will Smith say certain things that really make something move inside me, that's something that connects with me. So I would put that on an audio. And I would take all kinds of clips like that and put them on audio. And that plays for like...
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it's one of the best things. It plays for like an hour. So
You need to sell those.
You know what? I really was thinking about
That's an
it.
awesome idea. Yeah, that is amazing. I would buy that right now. I mean, seriously, the time that went in to go and do that, and that's brilliant though, because sometimes in the morning just listening to really heavy audio, it's too much for me. So I like inspirational stuff just to get my body activated and going. So I love that idea. That's awesome, Rob.
Yeah, so I listen to that for like 30 minutes. I mean, I don't sit in the bed for 30 minutes, but at least it's playing. It's playing until I feel like getting up. And once I get up, then I start my exercises. And I'm exercising while I'm listening to the audio. I jump on this little trampoline. I go jogging, a minimum jog of 30 minutes. Then I do 30 minutes of some kind of physical strength exercising, where I'm lifting some kind of weights, doing push-ups, stuff along those lines. And as soon as I get done with that stuff, if my audio's still playing, I go into actually writing my goals out. I'll go through the vision book, look at all that stuff in there. What else do I do? I'm just used to following just the checklist. Oh, I have in this binder here, I have a page that I record all of my biggest successes I've ever had in my entire life. I just write them all down, and I just keep adding to them and adding to them. And but I don't look at all of them every day because my rituals turn into like 5 hours. So I just pick a few.
That's brilliant, though. That's great just to interject on that, because that puts you back into that place and that mindset of that accomplishment. And there is nothing better than that feeling in the world. So I love that. I'm totally borrowing that.
Oh, man, it's great. It's great. So I do that. And then I take one of those. Every day, and I will actually visualize it. I will visualize that experience that happened. I would put my body in a position where I was actually doing it. So let's say, I'll just use a real example. I take the example of the day that I actually found out about the job, the store manager training job. So when that happened back in the days, I remember opening up this tote and going into it. Because every Thursday, this tote would come to the job. And it would always have the job postings in it, right? So I would go there every Thursday when I was looking for an opportunity. And this one Thursday, I go in, I flick through, not really expecting to find anything because I've just been looking and looking and looking. And finally, this new job is there. So I go back and I picture that experience. And I put my body in that same experience, doing exactly what I was doing back then and visualizing it. And I only do that for 1 or 2 minutes, just to put me back in that power state.
That's amazing. I love that. It seriously is. That is so cool. Love that process.
Yep, do that. I spend 15 minutes just reviewing all of my goals. I do my incantations for 5 minutes. And then I'll sit down for 30 minutes where I'll do 15 minutes of visualizing my goals as if it was a movie. And then I do 15 minutes of me actually performing doing these goals. And that all takes me about an hour and a half in the morning.
That's awesome.
And then as far as
keep going.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, I was going to just give you the 30 minutes before I go to bed. That's where I read. I read a few minutes. I usually try to do just a chapter a day. It depends. But I read. I write down my successes of the day. I write down the things that I'm grateful for that day. I organize what the next day I plan on doing. And then I'll go through and I'll do some acknowledging again. I'll go through my visual, the visual pages in my book again. I'll write down my goals again. I'll do another success conditioning where I put my body back in the state of a past success. And that's it. And it takes me about an hour and a half in the morning and a half hour before I go to bed. And that's my whole daily ritual that I commit to doing every day.
Oh, so powerful. Daily rituals are just so powerful. I don't even know how to add to that, because things just start to show up in your life that come from that, and it's just amazing. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing that. I took a ton of notes right now. So I hope everybody listening is taking bits and pieces of that to use in your day, because just even adding one of these into your life on a daily basis can truly make a huge difference. So who are some of your, I like to call mental mentors, the people that we read, that we may not meet or maybe not yet, but we're reading about. So tell me some of your top people that you like to follow and leaders to read and to listen to for audio.
Well, man, there's so many. But I'll give you some of my top picks. One of the, as far as success, I am so inspired by like Michael Jordan, Will Smith, Michael Jackson. Those three people just inspire me so much. But when it comes down to Will Smith, you know, I watch him like a hawk. And I am like, oh man, I am like I only got one issue with Smith, man. If I ever meet him, I'm gonna tell him too. I only got one issue with him. And I'm gonna say it on this call because I'm bold. I'm waiting for him to write a book. I'm actually waiting for him to write a book. I mean, not like somebody interviewing him, not that kind of thing. You know, all his books are like that. I want him to write a book because his life and how he thinks and what he says and everything about him is just so inspiring. So he's like my top person that I like watch. I watch every video he has on YouTube. I have watched. I have an audio clip, and I really recommend that everybody go check it out. You know, I got it right off of YouTube. All you have to do is search Will's Wisdom. It's 10 minutes of his best thought processes. So he's like my number one guy that I like to watch. As far as books, oh man, there's so many great books. I'm going to probably give you my top book. And I just came across this a few weeks ago, but it is like the most powerful book I've ever read in my entire life. It's called The New Psycho-Cybernetics. Have you ever heard of that, Kris?
I think I have. If it does it just recently come out?
It's been out.
Okay, maybe
it's by a guy by the name of Dr. Maxwell Maltz. The book actually, the Psycho-Cybernetics original book came out a long time ago.
That's what I know. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
The new cycle.
Yeah,
that's
a long time ago. And then the new Psycho-Cybernetics, Dan Kennedy actually took his material and upgraded it and expanded it. And I went through, I ordered everything. I ordered everything that the guy has. And the first thing that came to me was the new Psycho-Cybernetics, the audio program. The most powerful book I have ever listened to and read in my entire life. Highly, highly recommended. And I'll tell you why. If you know anything about the mind, the subconscious mind is the key to everybody's success. Period. End of story. And I've been to countless seminars. I've read countless books. I've listened to countless audios. And every one of them was great. Every one of them was fantastic. But this was the best piece of material that really explained how do you really get into that subconscious mind? How do you really change your self-image? And that's where I got a lot of my processes from that book. I highly recommend it. And after saying that, I don't even think I want to give any more resources because that resource is just that good.
Subconscious, it is, and I've been on the same journey as you. I've done so much personal development since I've been 19 years old. Just so many seminars, so many things. And the subconscious, most people don't realize, our 98% of our actions, everything we do is autopilot for the most part, and it's all subconscious programming. It's everything in that part of, the theta mind that people don't realize. It's not our actual thinking. So we have to tap into a whole another level. And that's why I say tap into your cellular level. That's why Rob's hit it on the head with all of his his rituals, because that gets it to the cellular level where things can start to change then, and it changes the construct of our subconscious mind. So I'm getting on that right away after the call here. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Did you get the book and the audio with that?
I had to get them separately. But I highly recommend you get both because they don't both contain all of the same information. They don't have the exact same information in it. Nope, they don't. They're slightly different. The book will have a lot more stories, examples, and other perspectives that the audio doesn't have, and the audio has a lot of stuff that the book doesn't have. So you really need to get both in order to capitalize on it. And the last thing I'll say about that, and you hit it right on the head too, Kris, but I just want to be very clear when people understand, you can't get what you want in this world consciously, period. You just can't do it. If you are making things happen in your life, if you're making things happening in your life, you're doing it subconsciously. You're not doing it consciously. You think you're doing it consciously, but you're doing it subconsciously.
Oh, I just got the chills. It's so true. Oh, it's amazing. No, I mean, it really is. And yeah, and more people are waking up to it, which I even feel the vibration for 2013. There is just a huge positive. Do you feel that? Like, people are just on fire for this year, and I think it's because they've been doing a lot of their work now is starting to take place from what they've been doing for maybe their personal development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see this shift. I'm really excited about it. So, you've just given a wealth of knowledge. This is just amazing. And hopefully you have a couple extra minutes here because I want to pick your brain a little bit more. But I'd love to ask you, what are some other, what are your secrets for high performance? That's what you're known for. So what can you share on that topic?
Well, it's really the fundamentals of show up, step out, and shine. That's really my high performance strategies. Right there. I mean, if you can just do those three things and you can apply them to any goal, you can apply them to any situation, and the rest is history. It's not a matter of whether you're going to do it or not. It's just a matter of how bad do you want it and how fast do you want it to happen.
Love it. Now, do you think there's anything with performance that, for the distraction part, like we were talking about earlier today, do you have kind of a process to stop that from, I guess my question is, how do you help people say no and still move forward? Because I think a lot of people are so used to saying yes to everything, that's what holds them back as well, and that doesn't really bode itself well to high performance.
I would totally agree. And I tell you, as I look back, when I had my first breakthrough, I look at all of my successes. I have never, ever, ever been successful when I was trying to do multiple things at the same time. It never happened. It happened. Like the more clear you get and the more focused you can get on what you want, the faster everything's going to happen. And the cool thing about psycho-cybernetics is that this is like the book that's really behind like the teachings of like people in the Olympics, all the top athletes. Because a lot of people look at all these people in the Olympics and stuff like that, and they think that, they just had to work hard to get there. No, there's a lot of mental exercises that the coaches put them through. There's a lot of mental work that they have to go through in order to make these things happen. That's how these things they look so amazing. It's because not only are they exercising in the physical world, they're exercising in the outer world as well. So performance, when it boils down to performance, based on my message, and also the psycho-cybernetics, it all comes down at the end of the day to focus. Focus. One thing. It has to be one thing first. Follow. What is it? What is that word? What is that? There's an acronym for that. Focus, right? Follow one course until successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just nailed it. Yep. That's it. Yeah. It's so powerful. I love that. Now, I got on a sidetrack here. I was going to ask you another question with regard to cybernetics for a second. That's okay. If I can think of it, I'll come back to it. But I want you to tell us about your books now, like what you're working on and what you're doing this year.
Well, I have a lot of projects in the works. Right now, I have 3 books that are out. The first book that I ever wrote It's called 12 Secrets to Student Success in the World. That was the first book that I wrote, because when I had that major breakthrough, I really wanted to write something for people that were just like me in high school, because I know there was a lot of people out there that had the same story that I had. And I wanted to be able to give them some tips and some strategies in order to break through. Like, what did I wish I knew when I was back in school? That if I would have knew, everything would have changed quicker, and I wouldn't have had the struggles that I had. So that was the first book I wrote. The second book that I wrote is Show Up, Step Out, and Shine, Creating a Culture of Leaders Who Shine. That's my bread and butter book. That is like my main talk. That's my main expertise. I already told you my story about that book. I actually have a website available. If anybody wants to get a free ebook version, along with $297 worth of free bonuses, all you would have to do is go to leaderswhoshine.com. That's leaders with an S at the end, leaderswhoshine.com. And I don't really need to explain what that book's about, because we already talked about my message. A few months ago, I wrote another book, because I took my message to the next level to really focus on leadership. And the name of that book is The Show Up, Step Out, and Shine Leadership Method. And it's about how to get the people that you lead to perform better no matter where they are or what they do. And right now that's only an ebook version, but that's on my website. So it's really about how do you get other people to perform better consistently, every single time, on demand. Because that's what made me special at my corporate, job. How is it that Rob can get results consistently every single time while other managers are struggling? So that's why I wrote a book on that. And as far as future projects that I'm working on this year, I'm working on a book that's called The Show Up, Step Out, and Shine Mindset Method. And it's going to be all about nothing but mindset, 100% mindset. And it's going to have a lot to do with what we talked about on this call. It's going to be very similar to a lot of the teachings from psycho-cybernetics, but it's going to have the Rob Moore twist on it.
Well, I'm excited for that to come out. Super excited. And all of your books that you have right now are just phenomenal, too, to dive in and learn more about the processes you have, because they are so powerful. I mean, this call was loaded with so many killer takeaways and steps and methods and things you can do on a daily basis to help yourself improve whatever it is, whether it's, as an athlete, as a business owner, as, an entrepreneur, wherever you're at in your life. So I thank you so much for all this phenomenal information, Rob. And where can everybody go and find out about you for your main website?
Well, I just remembered there's another book that's about to come out in a few weeks. That's the Show Up, Step Out, and Shine Performance Method. And it's very similar to the other Show Up, Step Out, and Shine book that I have. But the thing about this book is that it's going to get down to the meat and the potatoes of better performance. So I wanted to just mention that real quick. But that's not out yet, but it's coming. To find out more about me, and what I do, you can go to therobmoore.com. That's TheRobmoore.com. therobmoore.com.
Well, fantastic. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share all of this amazing, insightful information. And everybody, if you want to head over to KrisGilbertson.com as well, I have a full profile on Rob and all the details on his books, his upcoming books, and all the places to get in touch with them. So again, thanks, Rob, for coming on the show. And everybody go out and make it a great day.
Kris, thanks for having me. It was a great call. Thanks a lot.
And I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'd love to get your feedback here for the Lifestylepreneur podcast right in iTunes. Simply leave us a 5-star and a review letting us know what you like, who you're interested in hearing more from, and what topics you really want help with in your business that I can bring on those key experts to really fine tune and help you in your business and creating the lifestyle of your dreams. And I'll be giving shout outs, so make sure you put your name and your website address if you want me to share that with the community as well. And again, thanks for listening. I'm so excited that you found the Lifestylepreneur podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you and learn more about your business as we continue to grow this community. So again, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Lifestylepreneur podcast. Again, I'm Kris Gilbertson, and I'm committed to bringing you top training from leading lifestylepreneurs all over the world to help you break through and turn your dreams into your ideal lifestyle. And make sure to join us at www.lifestyleacademy.com to receive VIP training from specific guests I interview on the show, so that you can really easily start to implement what you've learned from listening. I know we're all busy, and sometimes we don't have time to listen to the entire podcast or take notes, because I'm always listening on the go. So I like to call it the lifestyle cliff notes to creating your ideal business and make it really simple for you. So those will be sent via the email list. Plus, I also want to connect with you personally, and being on the Lifestyle Academy mailing list is where all the magic happens. We'll host VIP trainings once a month that we can't always bring out on the podcast with even more detailed information. And I also want to connect with you personally. I want to know what's going on in your business and what you need help with, and who I can bring on to aid you in creating your ideal lifestyle. And so I'll be asking questions every once in a while that I want you to reply, and I reply back to you personally. So again, until next time, wishing you on your way to achieving all of your dreams. Talk to you soon.